It is the final lap and the finishing line is in sight for both Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Rakyat. You may think that with only half day left to go until polling, things are cooling down, but that is far from it. With us here in our studio again is the Stars Group Chief Editor, Datuk Seri Wong Chun, who will be giving us a summary of the past 15 days of campaign. I'm Regina Lee and you're watching GE13, The Showdown. Hi Datuk Seri. So, we're now actually supposed to be cooling off, but no one is actually cooling off, isn't it?
Absolutely no. If you look at it, that the campaigning period is supposed to end at midnight, and even as we are speaking now, there are so many press conferences being called by the candidates, so many allegations being thrown at each other, all sort of rumours, all sort of half-truths and distorted truths that have been sent by SMS or openly made by the candidates are going around. So it's really like campaigning to the last minute, and this is what's happening.
Now, you were saying earlier a lot of SMSs and a lot of things are also going around social media. So how can people actually differentiate between the truth and something that is stretched from the truth?
Okay, with social media, although the Election Commission says that all campaigning must end by midnight, now there's nothing to stop these unnamed people, unnamed cyber troopers sending out all sort of campaigning, even when people are casting their votes. So there's nothing to really stop them. That's where the social platforms are freed in that sense. While the printed media and the electronic media will be more guided in their reporting, knowing that tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. when the people go to vote, both electronic and the print would probably will be reporting a non-partisan. They won't be reporting what this party or that candidate has got to say. They will stay away from the campaigning type of reporting. But there's really nothing to stop the social media, whether it's an SMS or whether it's an email or Facebook, to throw all sorts of allegations. One of the most popular that's going around probably is because the opposition leader has said that there's going to be plane loads of foreigners, Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, Chinese, Myanmaris, they'll be floating Malaysia tomorrow to vote. Because of that statement, a lot of SMS are actually going around. I've seen pictures taken of Bangladeshis labourers that's arriving dressed in uniform, and they have been met by their recruiting agent. But the caption on the Facebook, it says that Bangladeshis that's arriving here to vote. Okay, and then that so you have this sort of thing going on. But if you do the calculation, it is actually mathematically quite impossible for plane loads of Bangladeshis to arrive, 16 flights, 20 flights over the next 24 hours to come and actually come and vote. Okay, why is that necessary? And that and you know, some of our airlines actually they're pretty bad in the timing, right? I don't know if actually be on time to vote. Okay, but I would expect Malaysians to take that with a pinch of salt. Okay, but it is good that Malaysians are guiding and preventing any forms of electoral fraud. Okay, it's good because I think that if you're not a Malaysian, you have no business to vote. And I think that if Malaysians feel that, look, we got to guard this seriously, I think it's good. It shows that people are concerned with voting pattern, and in the long run, it's good for Malaysia.
Right. Now, before we go for a short break, do you think that with all these rumours that's going around about migrant workers landing in KLIA, do you think that things might end up getting out of hand and there'll be violence targeted at migrant workers?
Yes, I think that could be a possibility. But I think that Malaysians by nature are peaceful, loving people. I don't think that they would resort to such a violence or unnecessary provocation or intimidation on a foreigner. But I think that the police would need to be around on voting day, while the rest of the nations are voting on Sunday, that's tomorrow. Don't forget there are quite a lot of foreigners, Bangladeshis or Indonesians, who will also be taking time off to go shopping, right? They'll be going to KL, they'll be going to Sepang on a holiday, or they're just taking a short trip to somewhere. And it will be pretty sad if they're suddenly set upon by some self-appointed vigilantes, okay, because they happen to pass by a school which is a voting center. And I think that foreigners really need to guard themselves as well, right? Maybe they should just stay at home, and do not be a target of anybody. But I believe that Malaysians would not take law into their own hands or to provoke somebody. I really believe that most of Malaysians are rational people.
Okay, now hold that thought. We're going to have to go for a short break now. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to the Stars Group Chief Editor, Datuk Seri Wong Chun of his summary of what happened in the past 15 days. Stay with us. Welcome back. With us here again is the Stars Group Chief Editor, Datuk Seri Wong Chun and he was just telling us a little bit about the allegations and the counter-allegations that's been floating around the social media. Now, Datuk Seri, I want to get back to that. How can people actually know? I mean, this is the truth and this is complete fabrication. How do people make that kind of difference?
Okay, I think in Malaysia today, with the emotions and the frenzy of the general election, people have become very judgmental. In some cases, some friends of mine who are usually very rational and logical kind of people have actually become so caught up in this political storm, as you said it, that sometimes that they look at things from a very partisan point of view. You ask this question of how do we differentiate a rumor, a fact, or half-truth? I think that as we head towards a democracy, I think that Malaysians should read everything. They should follow every blog, follow every news portal, follow every newspaper, make a comparison, and then you make an educated guess as to whether this makes sense, whether this is logical, or this is really outrageous, or this is half-truth of what. The tendency right now is that because of the emotion that has been generated, people like to read what they feel would fit into their political sentiments. If I read a particular portal or a newspaper that I feel shares my political belief, then it must be the truth. If I read that particular newspaper online says, this I don't agree with you, then it's not the truth. So all sort of label has been thrown at the media: pro-opposition, pro-Barisan, pro-DAP, and that sort of thing is taking place right now. But I think that people should just read everything, check with each other, rather than to just, my friend send a picture or a news on my Facebook, and I just forward it, pass it around, and I don't even verify whether it's real or not. People must differentiate between an allegation, a hearsay, or something that's really true. But they should just check with various sources and make comparison. This to me is really important.
But the mainstream media has taken quite a bashing this time during the GE campaign.
I think that I've gone through so many elections. This election is probably the one where it's really heated. Okay, now as I said, if you're in the mainstream media, you are automatically labeled as pro-Barisan Nasional, and then you have that allegation. And the number of stories you can carry, say, the 50% or 40% of DAP stories, okay, that's not good enough. People expect you to be really 100% of that sort of coverage. So let's just talk about Malaysia Kini, for example. Malaysia Kini is seen to be pro-opposition. Okay, now, so no matter how many stories that it carries on Barisan Nasional, people will still say, Malaysia Kini is pro-opposition. They have that problem too, okay? But that's because that's this part of the sentiments that's going around at this point. I think that after the elections, I think that people will be back to normalcy and look at things in a different manner again.
Now, in that same vein, there has also been a wave of personal attacks at candidates. You've got the sex tape allegedly featuring a past leader, and then after that you have Saiful Bukhari's father now doing a U-turn. And do you think that Malaysians are moving beyond that, or will that still be a factor with how people vote?
You mentioned about Saiful's father who make a U-turn, and then there's also this DAP leader Norman Fernandez who criticized PAS and then subsequently make a U-turn. I presume that you're probably facing a lot of pressure, and that but when these sort of things happen, these U-turns, these flip-flops, you know, and that makes me very cynical of politicians. I've always said that, look, Malaysians can become very emotional or caught up in this frenzy, but at the end of the day, they must not be used by politicians. Politicians have their agenda, they have their ambition, they all claim they represent the people, they all claim they're doing this not for themselves, not because they want to be YB or they want to be ministers, they're all doing this because for the rakyat. And actually a lot of people get swollen in by this salesman talk, okay, and says that, oh, they're doing it for the rakyat, they are saviors. But I never believe this. You look at these flip-flops and U-turns, okay, and this personal character, this personal attacks of your video, I think it's really an intrusion of people's privacy. Okay, you can, and it doesn't speak well for Malaysian politics. People should not use sex tapes. I never believe it. I think we should voice our detest against such practices. No matter whether you're supporting Barisan or PR, we should voice our objection against such kind of politicking.
Yeah, whether those tapes are real or not either, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
It has no place in Malaysian politics.
And that, but because Malaysia is in many ways a conservative society, those of us in PJ or living in Bangsa, a particular kind of lifestyle, a liberal lifestyle, we may say that, look, there's somebody's privacy, it's none of our business. But in a rural Malay heartland where it is very conservative, where religion play a big role, obviously people look at it differently and say, how can a leader who projects himself like some kind of cleric is suddenly involved in a sex tape, you know? They will look at it differently. And probably because it works in this situation, that's why political saboteurs use it. So we tend to look at things from a point of view and within our worldview, but obviously it works, okay, in this Malay heartland. And I think that at the end of the day, the decision will be made by the majority of the voters in the rural heartland.
Now that's interesting. We're going to have to go for a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about political violence as well as last-minute surprises on each side's campaigns. Stay with us. Welcome back. With us here in our studio is the Stars Group Chief Editor, Datuk Seri Wong and he was just telling us a little bit about the campaign methods, some unusual and some not so. And Datuk Seri, now in this election we have seen a lot of instances of bombs going off and people getting beaten up. Is this at a worrying level?
I think it's very disturbing because that I don't recall having this sort of little bombs going on in the past election. This time, you have almost regular cases of explosives being thrown or found near election campaigning centres or in near party headquarters. I think it's very disturbing because that it has never happened in the past. But thank God, so far most of these are actually more pranks than real threats. I mean that in one case where somebody actually wrote the word bomb in a box, so I would not take that. Yeah, I was bomb. So I would not take it too seriously. But it's good because we're coming to the end of the campaigning period, and we hope that they will just remain as just pranks and not serious threats.
Okay. Now, going into Sunday, what do you think the voting trends will be like?
I think that for one, it will be a very huge turnout. Even today, the North-South Highway is filled with cars. They're filled with vehicles. People are just going home to vote. And the KTM has said that they're going to have 24 hours train ride back home. And I think it's really good because people must exercise their rights to vote. A lot of people do a lot of talking, but there's nothing more important than to cast your vote and to make that difference. It's really good for the country, good for the nation, and this is what democracy is all about, the right to choose. I've always said that democracy may not be the best form of, may not be a good system. It may be a flawed system, but it's still the best system because you have a right to choose and you have to make your choice. It's good for the country, and that we will be looking forward to the results tomorrow. I think that a lot of people will go to vote very early. Opens at 8. I think by 8 or 9 it will probably jam.
Yeah. And in your past few years of covering the elections as a journalist, have you seen this level of excitement, of intensity? Never.
In the past, a lot of my friends, they were not voters. In fact, a lot of reporters were not voters, okay? And politics were not the daily conversation. It was not a topic that people were interested in. But now, everybody is an expert. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody is able to articulate a view. Everybody is sharing some topic on politics, on the election via their Facebook, to the point that I think that it's overbearing now. Okay? But that's good for the nation, I said.
And do you think that there could be upsets in hot seats? The hot seats that you previously mentioned, like Gelang Patah and Lembah Pantai.
I think that a lot of attention will be paid to Gelang Patah because that it is a fight between Lim Kit Siang and Ghani Osman. Depending on who you speak to at this point, both have declared winners or losers. Lembah Pantai, for me, is probably very exciting. There's a possibility of an upset. And then that I'm also looking at Putrajaya. Putrajaya is interesting because that it is this is a seat which is in the middle of this political capital of Malaysia, the administrative capital, and that there has been huge scrub at Pas Cerama. And that because Putrajaya could be the first results that will come in. We are expecting a result at 7 p.m. to 7:30 because of the small size of voters in Putrajaya. That will probably be the first. I do not know whether it's going to be an indication of the subsequent results, but it's going to be interesting because of the tough fight. And then I'm also looking at Kelantan. I'm looking at Kedah especially because of this strong challenge by Barisan Nasional against PAS. I'm looking at Perak because the Pakatan Rakyat is giving a big challenge to Barisan Nasional in Perak and even Terengganu. So these are the states which would generate a lot of great interest, and tomorrow our eyes should be glued to these states and areas.
That's interesting. So what do you hope to see on Sunday, and how can Malaysians move forward after this particularly divisive kind of fight and campaign?
We are a maturing democracy. We are pretty rough on the edge. If you look at the comments that's been posted on the internet and on Facebook, people put you down. People do not engage in a debate on a particular topic. They make all sort of threats against you. They call you all sort of names: running dog, traitor, stupid, and they make all kinds of threats. That's not the way the democracy should function. But I think we will be more civil as we grow. We have taken the first step. If you look at it now, the right of assembly is there. There's no more Internal Security Act. People are able to articulate their views. They know that they won't be arrested by some secret police, okay, by the SB or whatever. So people dare to voice their opinion, and I think that's good. The first step has been taken, and I think in the next general election, 5 years from now, I think people will be able to engage in a discussion in a more civilized manner, more educated manner, rather than to just pick up and believe everything that people tell you, right? We should reach that level. But now, we are still pretty rough if you look at the way we conduct the election. But what happens after the general election? As you said, we are very divided. It doesn't help when politicians talk about, when we win the election, we're going to jail this man, we're going to jail this leader, we're going to jail that leader. That is a witch hunt, and I don't think it's really healthy for the country. If you look at South Africa, Look at Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was jailed for decades. When he came back, he was not talking of punishing. He was talking of reconciliation. He was talking of bringing people together. He was talking along the line of healing. And I think that our leaders should talk along this line, because at the end of the day, you can be PKR, you can be PAS, you can be Barisan Nasional. That is your right. You're entitled to who you believe in. But at the end of the day, we are all Malaysians. Okay, we are all Malaysians, and that we should all come together for a single purpose of bringing the nation forward after the election. So I think the language that should be used by the media, by politicians, will be healing, reconciliation, unite Malaysians. I think that should be the message we should drive for.
Thank you very much, Datuk Seri Wong.
Yep.
And there you have it, a hope for a reconciled and a more united Malaysia after this. But tomorrow night, who will it be? Will it be Pakatan Rakyat or will it be Barisan Nasional? And stay with us and keep watching GE13 The Showdown for more updates and interviews. Thank you. Bye-bye.